Jerry would do anything for money. He would drink Tabasco sauce, a bottle of Tabasco sauce for $1, and all this other stuff. So,
$1 a lot of money then.
yeah, dollar. He's in my father's gas station. So we're in the gas station. So he's trying to make money. And I think it was Dennis, but I'm not positive who brought it up. And Dennis, what became my brother-in-law, he asked Jerry, he says, would you hit Nana for $5? And he looked at my grandmother. And while he's looking at him, my grandmother smacked him across the face. And he goes, what'd you hit me for? I didn't say yes. She goes, you took too long to answer.
And what did he say?
He says, I would have split the money with you.
And that's what Nana wants.
My grandmother says, I don't need $2.50.
Hi, Granddad.
Hi, I'm back. So he said, I figured, why go to California? So he turned around and came back to New York and wound up, I guess, marrying my grandmother.
And where's she from?
But and my grandmother, she was from Belfast.
And what did you call her?
We called her Marmock. And that was because my oldest brother couldn't say grandma, and that's what came out. And so I don't know why they stuck with it.
As a designer.
Yeah.
Grandmother name before it was fashionable.
Yeah, right. So we had our own, nobody had a Marmock. We had a Marmock, so I don't know if it meant anything in Gaelic. My grandmother spoke Gaelic as her, I don't know if it was her first language, but I think she was brought up bilingual in Northern Ireland. The Irish Catholics kept to their Gaelic, but they slowly lost it because the English were so prominent in all of Ireland. They're trying to gain it back, but
no, it's an official language of Ireland.
Yeah, it's official language. I mean, some corners and some islands, it never went away. So, in Scotland and Ireland, maybe even in Wales. Oh, and that was the other thing. We always thought that, that we had, because my one grandmother, she married into the Morton family. So her maiden name was Morton. So she, she claimed,
lineage from.
and said, yeah, like I think there was a vice president, Levi P. Morton, and said, oh, he might have been a great uncle. And it turns out he really wasn't, but I was told he was. And you trace the Mortons line back, they actually came across with William the Conqueror. So they're, Norman, French, British, whatever. They're not Irish. So we always think we probably have some English in us. Disappointing as that may sound. So, and when the Beatles first came out, I didn't like them because they were English. And
But then more recently you did one of those ancestry.
yeah, I did ancestry.com, and
then they had one of your sisters too.
one of my sisters had it, so they had both of us, and they came up to they added it all up, and they said that I was basically around 85-87% Irish. Then about 11-13% Scottish, and then the rest was Welsh. And I said, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, no English. I could hang out with Burton and Peter O'Toole and Sean Connery.
Yeah, well, people in Ireland are not really necessarily that Irish.
What?
People in Ireland are more mixed. You have a very high percentage. I don't know how you manage that.
Yeah, Ireland is not totally on mixed too, because I mean they had the English there for years, but they didn't really the Irish Catholics and the Irish Protestants didn't really mix too well into marriage, so there was not a lot of that early on anyway, especially in the north. But yeah, then in what is it, Southern Ireland. The Irish were prisoners in their own country, basically.
Yeah.
Told they couldn't speak their own language. Told they couldn't. They couldn't own land. They could rent land, and the only crop they could grow on that land was potatoes. All the other crops were British. And we always had the stories about the Irish famine, all those people that died of starvation. Well, the whole time the Irish population died of starvation, the British were feeding their army and navy with the food that they were producing in Ireland on their farms. And anytime the Irishman would try to get some of that food, he was a thief and would be executed or thrown in prison. And the prisons were not very nice when you look at it. So these people are starving to death while food is being shipped out of their country. And if you tried to do anything about it, you were wrong. You were, a criminal. So anyway,
So
what?
let's get back to your life, not all of.
Yeah, let's get back to like. But anyway,
You had talked about both grandfathers, and you talked a little bit about your father's mother. So she came from Belfast,
Belfast.
which she was born there.
Yeah, she was born in Belfast. She was born right at the end of the second famine and potato famine because there was the main big one was in I think the 1840s, and then they had another secondary famine in the 18 late 70s and 80s. So, and my grandfather's family moved from Ireland to Scotland during the second potato famine because my great grandfather couldn't get work, so they moved to Scotland. My great grandfather was a railroad man on the Scottish railroad system, and the story from my grandfather was that they were at a fair, and they had the old ring the bell with a cigar. You take the hammer, you smack it, you ring the bell, and you win a cigar or whatever. And at this particular fair, they had the bell, and you could go past the bell up about another 5 feet was a cuckoo bird's nest. And if you rang the bell, hit the cuckoo's nest, a cuckoo bird would come out. So, like I said, that's all my grandfather did all day was pound spikes in. That was his job. And he was at the fair, and the guy running that thing tried to, according to my grandfather, tried to get his father to buy a ticket and play the game. And he didn't want to, so the guy proceeded to insult him. Talking about this and that. You wouldn't be able to do it. So it got him all pissed off apparently. So he paid his money, took the hammer, and according to my grandfather, he swung on that thing and hit it just right because he said you have to hit him right too because there's a way if you hit him square, you're not going to get you have to hit on the edge of something. So he hit it just right. The weight went up, rang the bell, and hit the top where the cuckoo house was, and knocked the cuckoo house off the top of the device, and then handed the guy back his hammer. So that was the story from Mike. Just loved that story.
So these guys, they try to trash talk.
Yeah, they tried to trash talk him. He didn't want to. I don't want to spend the money on this. I do this all day long. Why do I want to do that? So, so anyway, he did it. And so, like I said, and my grandmother, she came over. I think the sister sin of the sister sis, yep, either of the Lusitania. I think I'm not sure. So she came over. They always talked about that. Oh, they could have. She could have run.
It was during World War One that you came.
Yeah, it was right around that. It was before, I think, the war.
So these ships
It might have been before the
potentially.
Titanic even sailed and sunk. I think that was in 1914, wasn't it? The Titanic.
The Titanic was before World War One.
Yeah, pretty sure it was before, just before. It might have been the same year. World War I broke out in the summer of 1914. I think Titanic sunk in the winter of 1914, and I'm not positive of that. But anyway, they always said she was on the sister sin, either the Titanic or the Lusitania. I can't remember. But anyway, then she made it across, and she got the job first as a housekeeper for some rich family. That's what, you lived in quarters, the Irish quarters, the servant quarters. and you took care of the family. And then I think she became a beautician, but I think she had a problem with her hair. She did experiments on her hair and kind of ruined her hair. She never seen her without a hat on.
Uh,
But um,
And she's the one that taught you how to use some elbow grease, right?
no, that was Nana.
Oh, okay.
No,
But
Mama
then
used to come over and help us out, and she would always sing like, "This is the way we clean that room, clean him. This is the way we wash out the." It's like she had all these songs, and uh, yeah, she was always over helping out because my mother was always in the hospital having another. She was usually the babysitter when my mother went into the hospital for a baby, for another baby. My father was an only he was a only son, and they had one other daughter who became a nun. She was a couple of years or a year older than my father, and she went to the convent type high school out in Watermill, Long Island, when she was 13 years old or 12. I can't remember. So, and she'd just come home on the summers, and my father would just say every summer they just go to the movies together. It was a nickel or something like that. But and she was an excellent piano. She played the piano, organ. She could play. She could have played in any symphony. She was, excellent. And she was a music teacher, taught in the high schools, and at the end, that's all she did was play the organs in the church. So, but yeah, but my grandmother. Oh, like I say, my grandmother. She was born uh, when food was really scarce in Northern Ireland for the Irish Catholics, and so I remember getting up. I didn't have school. I was too young to go to school, and all my two older brothers and sister got up and they had their breakfast and they had gone to school and they ate all the bananas except one, which was the banana had turned mostly black. And I said, "There's no bananas left." My grandma goes, "No, there's one over here." I said, "I'm not eating that." "No," she goes, "this banana is good." I said, "It don't look good to me." So I don't know what kind of cereal that Cheerios. Never. So anyway, she put the bananas in my cereal, and I refused to eat them. And she took it and she forced this banana into my mouth with a spoon and made me eat it. And I wound up eating the met banana or whatever. And to this day, I can't. I have a very hard time with ripe. I could put them in banana bread. I could put them in pancakes or whatever. But if a banana is couple of days past ripeness, when it starts, getting a little soft, I have a hard time dealing with them. They could be raw and I'll eat them, no problem.
you get triggered by the banana.
Yeah, yeah, I get triggered by the bananas. Like, no, I can't eat that banana. Of course, like my grandma, she might even have said, "I would have loved to have this when I was a kid. I would have ate this, like, I would have ate the skin too." It's like, so, grandma,
Grow up in such
yeah, I
right.
don't need to eat this. It's like the kid up the block had a father who was brought up in Poland, and my brother was over there, and nobody would eat the milk because it's gone sour. And there's nothing wrong with this milk. And my brother said the father drank the rest of the sour milk, and they're all looking at him like, "Oh my goodness!" It's like, well, when you're starving. You'd say there's things you can eat that you don't want to eat. There's nothing wrong with this. Yeah, well, they think there is something wrong with it. It's sour. You know,
Right, right.
it was curdled, my brother said. And he just
Chewing his milk.
he took the curdles away and just took it down. It's good stuff. Don't throw it out. Okay. And we were always told, and it was true. I found out, each day food because his children in China starving. We found out like. Millions of people was starving in China because of Mao Zedong's policies and saying nothing was wrong. And you didn't have to help these people because nothing's happening. They're living in paradise. Meanwhile, they were starving to death. But anyway, I don't know. So then I have my other grandmother,
This is the back of the car, Petey.
back at the club, Petey. My grandmother, she did not want to be called grandma because she wasn't old enough to be a grandma. So she took the name Nana. So we called her Nana. And
Had a particular opinion toward you because of your
yeah,
birthday,
and I was born on her birthday,
which should have been.
which should have been like, hey, this kid is born on my birthday. What a greatness. I have a grandchild born on my birthday. It was the worst thing that could have happened to my grandmother. She did not want anybody to notice
Mm.
her birthdays.
She didn't want
And
to get.
now and I think my mother did it on purpose too. Because my mother and my grandmother, uh, so I think my mother was, it's Bobby and Madeline's birthday. And she, we could still, you find pictures of my grandmother when she was a child, and they have dates on them, and it's 19, and the rest of it is raced off, and we think it's 1900 actually. She erased it or changed it to 1906 or something like that, and we go back on Ancestry, looking up things and everything, and you find my grandmother. One document, she was born. She was born in 1902. Another document, she was born in 1908. Another document, she lied on every census that she took. Every time a census came out, she became year of birth became later in the sense. It's like the first one was 1902. The second one was 1905. And the third one. So she,
You're probably lying from the beginning.
so she was
Do you have a birth certificate for him?
well, the funny thing about it is we could always find out when she was born because she had a twin brother. And we said I look up Uncle Vinny's birthday because he didn't care. So it's documented when he was born. We know when he was born. I think it was actually 1900, April 10th, 1900s. But it was funny. And she was, she thought she was an aristocrat. She'd walk into stores. Now, this was when, in restaurants and have them shut down their air conditioning. Now, this is when air conditioning was not everywhere anyway. But they would actually come in there, especially in the town there, and they would have her come in and they would turn off the air conditioner for the hour that she was there because she didn't like to have cold wind on her back or her lip or anything like that. And he would drive in the car. She wouldn't allow you to put the air conditioner on or open the windows, even in the summer. One time, my brother-in-law was driving, and my brother-in-law Dennis, driving to see my brother Rusty when he was in the National Guard, driving to Tennessee, and it was in the summer. He stopped and bought these little chocolate candies with the whiskey in it. Fed her two or three of them, and they were riding down the highway with the windows open. Grandma, Nana was having a good old time. Forgot all about the wind on her neck and whatnot. But yeah, she was. I mean, she was that like my brother was in a car and yeah, Chrysler Hemihead back in 1960. It was fast, 1960. And the cop in an unlocked car pulled up alongside of him, revved the engine, because everybody used to race it to the traffic lights, right? So, like, you want to go? So they both went. And my brother said, well, I fastened him. And then the next thing you know, there was a light on behind him. It pulled my brother over.
Is that entrapment? Entrapment.
Yeah, it was kind of entrapment. By the time they got back in their car, they were apologizing to my grandmother for pulling them over. She just railed into this cop. She named all the judges and things like that. And what?
Now is the movies with you and
Your coat.
Oh, yeah. So it was like, they just apologized. Then there was another time I went to the movies. My older brothers, my mother was probably having a baby, who knows? And we're in the movie theater, and my brother Rusty and Kathy there were watching us, and my brother Billy did. Surprised Billy didn't leave with me, but anyway, we got these little bag of popcorn, and people would, after they finish the popcorn, they'd blow it up and pop it. So everybody was doing it, and I was what? I had to be like 6 or 7, so I blew mine up, and I was on the end. And the next thing you know, I was being dragged out by the usher. I left my jacket in there, and they threw me out onto the streets. As I'm being dragged out, I looked at my older brother and sister. They were only, my sister was 3 years older than me. My brother was 4 years older than me. So you're talking 10,
Mm.
11,
Yeah, something.
and I'm being dragged out. And as I'm being dragged, I looked at them like, help. They went, bye. They made goodbye. So I'm dragged out and I'm thrown out into the street. And now it's in the fall. And I'm out there, and who comes walking up the block but Nana? She goes, "What are you doing out here by yourself? Where's your jacket?" I said, "I was in the movie theater and they threw me out." She goes, "Come with me." She walked me into the store there. She brought me a brand new jacket and then walked me back to the movie theater, walked me in. And I said, "Did you throw my grandson out of the movie?" She said, "Well, I didn't. It was I want to see the manager." So they went and they got the manager, and I'm standing there like this, and she's railing up. And you threw a 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy out on the street on his own with no supervision. What kind of a blah, 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 blah.
Watch the rest of the movie with your
To
sibling.
finish the movie was probably just about over, but I sat down and like, "Hey, new jacket, popcorn. How you guys doing?" And I waved to them.
So so Nana was the original Karen.
Yeah, she's the original Karen, I guess. I don't know if you would call it that. Yeah, she was like, she was something else. Like, oh, my brother Jerry, cousin Jerry, I call him my brother. But he did spend, like when he grew up, my aunt couldn't take care of the 2 boys. So they wound up being at my mother's house. She had 14 kids and 2 nephews lived with us. And, Jerry would do anything for money. He would drink Tabasco sauce, a bottle of Tabasco sauce for $1, all this other stuff. So,
$1 a lot of money then.
yeah, dollar. He's in my father's gas station. I worked in the gas station. We can tell you stories about that. Worked in the gas station for my parents for a couple of years without getting paid.
Yeah.
I just signed the back of the check. So, um, so we're in the gas station. Money, so he's trying to make money. And I think it was Dennis, but I'm not positive who brought it up. And Dennis what became my brother-in-law, but he wasn't my brother-in-law at the time. He asked Jerry, he says, would you hit Nana for $5? And he looked at my grandmother. And while he's looking at him, my grandmother smacked him across the face. And he goes, "What'd you hit me for? I didn't say yes." She goes, "You took too long to answer."
And what did he say?
He says, "I would have split the money with you."
And that's what Nana wants.
My grandmother says, "I don't need $2.50. Yeah. And there was and after my brother Billy got out of the Navy, he got involved with some, shady people and everything, but they weren't working. They were just, when, they didn't have any jobs. So my brother would take my grandmother back and forth to bingo. She would go to bingo every night. And whether she won or lost, she would give you a tip. And when she won, she gave you a big tip. So my brother always took her, got his money, and he had Sue Roberts in the car with him, this girl from high school. This is after high school. She was once the prettiest girl in school, but she ruined her life with drugs and everything. And anyway, she's in that car, and my brother's going to pick up my grandmother. And she goes, "Sue, you're going to have to get in the back seat because I'm picking up my grandmother." And she goes, "I ain't sitting in the back seat." You can tell your grandmother to sit in the back seat. And my brother goes, okay. Drives up and pulls up, and my grandmother comes to the door, and she opens the front door, and Sue's there. She goes, in the back, Petey. She goes, "Whoa." She got up and got into the back. And when I told that story to my grandchildren, Miriam was very little. And she said, I can't wait to go to heaven and see your grandmother and Petey.
Well, the Petey story has
What?
the Petey story is legendary.
Yeah, and the Petey story now, it goes throughout the whole family talks about in the back. Petey was like, anytime anybody wants to cut in line or something, like, in the back, Petey. That was one time I was working at my grandmother's house in her kitchen. How old I was, but anyway, it's getting his college points, so I wasn't 14 yet. But anyway, I'm trying to get this one bit. It wouldn't come clean. So I rubbing the and I don't tell my grandmother. I says, whatever I'm doing here, it's not working. This thing won't come clean. You have anything I can put on it? She goes, just use a little elbow grease. I said, okay, where is it? And she said, it's on the end of your arm. I remember going like this. What are you talking about? The elbow grease. She was a card, She loved to argue with us, and we weren't shy about arguing ourselves. So, oh man, she was a real piece of work. Love her,
But she didn't play checkers.
what?
She didn't play checkers.
No, my that was my mother's mother. My father's mother was a champion checker player. She played in competitions and stuff like that, and very competitive. Nobody could beat her in checkers.
This is where the competitiveness and the need to win. I mean, the argumentativeness and the competitiveness actually come from both grandmothers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. My
I still can't play Monopoly because of childhood trauma.
who you? Yeah. Well, whenever me and Billy played Monopoly with the kids, it usually came down to me and Billy were the last ones left because we cheated everybody else out of the game. And then it was just a straight competition because we knew each other cheated. So we wouldn't let each other cheat against them, Make sure how much you paying for that hotel. Where'd you get that money from?
So then you play checkers, though.
Yeah, so I was playing checkers the one time with my grandmother, and like I say, she always won. And I can't remember.
She never let you guys win.
Never let us win. I know it was at their old house, their rental house, cherry tree in the back, which only had one live tree, but they had great cherries on it, big cherries, every year. And I'm playing checkers with them, and I had like 8 pieces left, and she had, I think, 2 pieces left or something like that, or 3 pieces left. And she moved the thing in there so that I had to jump her or something like that.
Forced to jump.
Forced to jump, which then gave her a king. Well, no,
She
I
must have
can't.
gotten the king.
I think I forced her to jump. I can't remember. It was the only move I had or something like that. So I had to force her to jump. And when I forced her to jump, she became a king. And then it was her move. And I can't remember. Anyway, she had 1 king and 1 other piece left. And I had like about 8 or 9 pieces left. And she moved up. Can't remember. She got it all there. And then all of a sudden she takes it's her move and she has a king. And she goes, and 6 of my pieces were off the table, and now it's just 2 against 2, and she has 2 kings, and I have 2 regular pieces. I guess I'm not gonna win.
I thought I might win this one.
I thought I was on the road to victory. I outnumbered, but they had those rules. Nope, you gotta jump, and you can't. She would put it. I have a move that would make that would, confident, but she would move her piece in there and make me jump her.